Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing how I quickly run through vetting a ticker that I found on TradeView using tools such as TradingView, LiveFlow, Bullseye, or numerous scanners. I already covered a lot of these methods in previous videos, so I highly recommend checking those out. Now, by using the method I'm about to show you, you should be able to quickly narrow down your initial watch list to only the best tickers. I recently found AMD, Shop, and Meta, and several other plays that ran for over 200% just this week. I'll make sure I put all commands in the description and on Twitter for reference. Before we get started, if you'd like to get a 10% discount for TradingView, don't forget to use my referral link in the description. You'll also find referral links for TradingView and Top Step Funded Trader programs that will give us both discounts. Lastly, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to help me grow this channel. So with all that said, let's get into it. Now, I just want to specify, in this case, I'm purely just looking at the flow and analyst aspects of a ticker. I don't necessarily want to get into the chart or GEX profiles or dark pool levels, open interest, things like that, because those things will help us determine where we think the ticker is going to go. I just want to cover the first part of what I look at, which is essentially looking at flow, looking at scanning, looking at upcoming news events, things like that, to get an idea of where this whatever tickers we're looking at might go, to quickly decide if we want to keep them on the watch list for further analysis via the chart and other things that I just mentioned, or if we just want to drop it. So just looking at live flow here purely, let's take something that stands out. We see back-to-back snap sweeps at bid, indicating some call selling. So let's go ahead and pop that up. So I'm in the TradeView Discord here, and I'm going to go through running the commands that I use. And essentially anytime, so we saw some call selling, which would indicate bearishness. So we want to see if snap would be viable for playing some puts out of the gate tomorrow. So I want to go through all the commands that I use in order so we could see what that looks like. And then each time it's in favor of my overall thesis, which would be snap puts tomorrow, then I'm going to give it a point. So the first commands I always run are T net flow snap, and I look at it for 1 day cumulative history and 15 days of expirations. And as we can see, we snap here, we had some calls running up, price drove up with it. We had some chopping around, and then all of a sudden calls started selling off, and they did start climbing at the end, but then rapidly sold off at the end, which is a good sign for bearish sentiment. And then we see puts just rising the entire time, and price hasn't necessarily had a chance to account for these changes yet. So price is divergent from flow, which is always a good thing. So we'll definitely give it 1 point there. So right now snap is 1 for 1. And then we'll do T net flow, and we'll just do it without specifying any days till expiration or any history, and see what we get looking at all expirations. And we can see pretty much the same exact picture. So we'll say, okay, snap regarding flow is 2 for 2. Now I also like looking at algo flow, which kind of combines what we just looked at. And we'll look at algo flow for 1 day cumulative, 15 days expirations, and we can see according to algo flow, accounting for all the flow we just looked at, that snap is divergent, and snap should most likely be coming down at least to here. So that's definitely bearish. So right now snap is 3 for 3, and then we'll say T algo flow snap without specifying any expirations, just all flow data. Once again, tells the same story, meaning that snap looks like it can come down to around 15.9, which is a good sign. So this is definitely sitting up good. So right now we're 4 for 4. Now if we jump over to the next channel where we can look at things more, we can look at T big flow snap, and we can see the largest amounts of flow coming in. So we're more concerned with what came in the afternoon, not necessarily during the day. I mean, all of it matters, but as we saw from net flow and algo flow, things really started to shift in the afternoon. So if we look here around 1:15 p.m., we see big call selling. It's a sweep order for the 15 strike, and that is going to be for 11/18 expiration, which is certainly close enough. We're looking around 90 to 120 days, and that was 1.4 million in premium, so that's pretty significant. And if we go back to the other channel here, we can see snap is currently at 16, a little bit over 16.4. And so the call selling was happening at the 15 strike. So that means if this is call selling, snap would have to drop dramatically. Otherwise, whoever sold these large amounts of calls would get burned. So that's definitely a good sign there. So looking at everything else, this is kind of too early in the day. I mean, we do see some put selling. This would be some call buying here. We can't really tell with this one because we don't have bid or ask side. We have some more call selling. Now, if you're not familiar with how I'm determining this, calls on the bid side means typically it means either it was call selling or it was limit order call buying. Now we have to make some assumptions here and assume call selling since it was closer to bid side. Now the same thing for ask side. Call on the ask side would mean call buying or limit order call selling. Now if we see below bid, then we can be confident that that's definitely like that has a higher chance of being call selling because not only was it bid side, but it was actually below the bid price, meaning chances are that that could have been some aggressive selling there. And then if you see AA, which is above ask, that typically indicates aggressive buying. So that's how I'm making this distinction. And based on the time and the expirations that I'm looking at for this big flow, I mean, this call buying right here at 1227, I'm assuming this would be put buying, but I can't be sure. I mean, this was put selling at 10, which meaning that whoever's doing this, as long as Snap stays above $10 by June 16th, 2023, which I mean that seems pretty likely to me. This could just be premium collection. This doesn't necessarily mean bullish. We don't know what the put was here, but it was pretty further out. This call selling because below the 16 strike is definitely a bearish sign. So it seems like the big flow here, people are thinking that it's going to stay below $15 to $16. So again, so that would be, we'll give that, make that a 5 for 5. And then if we look at the unusual flow for Snap, and we look at this, so we want to look at the same thing, what's happening later in the day, and looking at the short dated expirations. In particular, we're looking at taking this play tomorrow. Today is July 21st, 2022. We'd be looking to take it July 22nd, 2022, which would be a 0 DTE. Now we see some call buying at 9, but that's really deep in the money. We see some put buying at 17, big sweep order, so that's a good sign. We see some call selling, another great sign at 17. All these are pretty large premiums. We see some call buying above the ask, a sweep. Now this is going against what we like to see, but still it's the only order of its kind because again we have some put buying. This is too early in the day, but its put selling is really low anyway, which seems like a safe play. Doesn't really go against our thesis. Again, some put buying earlier in the day. Now this would be some call buying, but this is further out expiration, so we don't necessarily care about that. And then again, some put buying. So this all looks really good. So I mean, right now everything we looked at, we're sort of 6 for 6. Now, if we keep going, I also like looking at the heat maps, and I like looking at it for the day and for the week. And now let's see what we have here. T-flow heat map snap for the day, and then we also have T-flow heat map. I accidentally ran that wrong. T-flow heat map snap for the week. And so let's look at it for the day, and we can see here that all these premiums, all for tomorrow, are extraordinarily bearish overall. So we have anything from 17 to 15.5 is overwhelmingly bearish. Now the following week we do have some major bullish premiums at 1.6 million, but we're more so concerned with tomorrow. So I think that this is actually looking good as of now. I mean, that's 7 for 7 in terms of Snap kind of painting a bearish picture. And if we look at for the week, yeah, I mean that confirms it even more. It's a very bearish picture we have here going into tomorrow. Again, when we get into next week, that's a different story, and that's something we'd have to pay attention to. And at this point, I'm going to stop the video here because I do want to, in a different video, I want to go over how we would determine what the big money might be targeting, and look at the chart together to see what those targets could be, and where to help us determine what a good profit target would be if we were to enter this play tomorrow, just to get an idea of where they might take it. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but the one thing we also should look at typically is the sector rotations, just to see how the sectors are looking. I mean, Snap sector being in technology is actually pretty green, which sort of goes against it. But again, we should also look at, if we can do T news and look at upcoming news for Snap to see what's going on within. Actually, there's a lot of news, and this is actually looking like mostly bearish news, and I believe Snap does actually have earnings. So if it's a bad earnings, that could be a continuation play, and so we always want to make sure that we take that stuff into account. And then this kind of goes with looking at the chart, but one thing I like doing is running T-scanning and then the indicator, and just to get an idea of some technicals that I might not necessarily look at myself. We can see it's in a strong downtrend, overbought, seeing some divergence. Now there's technicals that go against each other here, which is sort of expected, because when you have all these technical indicators applied to one thing, of course some of them are going to go against each other. So I don't give too much weight for this, but I just did want to point the scanning command out because it is kind of nice. But so that being said, it looks like everything we looked at for Snap going into earnings that the market is pretty bearish on Snap. I mean, that was 8 out of 8. So assuming they do have a bad earnings, I would be looking to play put continuations tomorrow on Snap. And basically, what this is the process I go through. I would do this for numerous tickers, and then once I everything that was basically a 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 8, I would then go and look at the chart and basically determine my entries and exits for the next day. And I did talk about this in another video with my pro framework stuff, but I'll elaborate on it more in another video. But anyway, I really hope you found this helpful, and I appreciate you watching. Of course, let me know if you have any questions in the TradeView Discord or YouTube comments or Twitter. Thanks for watching.